Hi, Patrick. It's Cindy. Um, I had to laugh. My son Jared walked by and he said, when I was watching your post, he said, "Why is that guy making a post from his bed?" And I told him that you had just had surgery on your knee, so he understood, and we had a good laugh about it. But I hope each day you're feeling stronger and doing better. And I appreciated a lot of things you shared on your post. One was Webster's definition of ethics, that ethics are rules of behavior based on ideas of what is morally good and bad. And it got me to just thinking about a lot of things, and how when it comes to ethics this day and age, there are just so many things um, that overall the world just looks at as relative. And the Bible talks about in Isaiah 5:20, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." And then 2 Timothy 3, it says, "Be sure of this, in the last days hard times will come. People will love themselves, they will love money, they will talk about themselves and be proud. They will say wrong things about people. They will not obey their parents. They will not be thankful. They will not keep anything holy. They will have no love. They will not agree with anybody. They will tell lies about people. They will have no self control. They will beat people. They will not love anything that is good." And I see that just so prevalent in our society today, and it gives me a heavy heart. I have to say, in one aspect, and the other aspect, it just means that we're coming closer to the return of Christ, and that is very exciting. And the reason I brought those verses up, and just the whole issue of being relative, is things that just seem black and white and that used to be ethical are, it's just more and more difficult to have ethics. Um, but with regards to just the issue we've been discussing this week, there are certain things, there are laws, and if they're on the books and they're made into laws, we tend to do what the law says, at least, or at least if we're not doing, then there are consequences to not following that law. We are blessed as Christians because we can know what is right and we can know what is wrong, and we can have strong ethics by using the biblical foundation. And what a blessing it is to have God's word to make things clear and it not become confusing what is right and what is wrong, because he has told us clearly. And I'm going to just share a couple verses a little bit more in line with that. In Leviticus 11:44-45, God says, "For I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves therefore and be holy, for I am holy. And you shall not make yourselves unclean with any of the swarming things that swarm on the earth. For I am the Lord who brought you up from the land of Egypt to be your God. Thus you shall be holy, for I am holy." And in 1 Peter 1, verses 15 and 16, "But like the Holy One who called you, be holy yourselves also in all your behavior, because it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy." So a couple other things I want to share. There's a great book called "Do Hard Things." It's by Josh Harris's, the pastor Josh Harris's boys, Alex and Brett Harris. They're twins. It's a few years old now. It came out brand new, I think, maybe, oh golly, 4 years ago. And it's "Do Hard Things." It's a teenage rebellion against low expectations, because it just seems that that's something that we're struggling with so much these days, with youth in particular. Um, And the book combats the idea of adolescence as a vacation from responsibility. And I feel like that goes along with ethics also. Another thing I wanted to share with you, if you get a chance while you're in bed, although you might be a little more up walking around right now, I don't know if you know her. Her name is Sage Steele, and she's a sportscaster on ESPN. And I had the blessing of hearing her speak for one of our son's graduation commencements just this past early June. She was the 2015 Indiana University IU commencement speaker. And she had just a lot of excellent things which come back to Webster's definition with rules of behavior based on ideas of what is morally good and bad. And towards the end of her speech, she shared that her father in the 1970s was a graduate of West Point. And I can't remember how many siblings she said she had, but when they were little, their father had them memorize a small portion of the cadet prayer that they had at West Point. And this was the part that he had them memorize. As kids in his family, they hated it at that point in time when they were young, but she shared in her commencement speech that now she gets it and that her father was right. And that portion of the prayer went like this: Lord, make us to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, and never be content with the half-truth when the whole truth can be won. And I'll put that link, I'll print it after I'm finished with this, so that if you or anyone else would like to take a look at some of the things that Sage had to share. For a secular university, and also as liberal as IU is, I felt like she tried to go just as far as she could. She didn't necessarily come out and say some of these things are biblical truth, but they were, and they were good. So with regards to copyrights, you shared, sometimes it's just easier not to have to mess with some of those things, and that's why often students, and I probably sometimes teachers, don't take the time to give credit where credit is due. But I think, especially as Christian teachers, we need to try to do our best in trying to cite things as much as possible, do them correctly, not steal things that other people have written. And we're not just accountable to our administrators, we are also accountable to God, and we may never be caught by our administration or the people we work with or people above us, but we need to do the harder right, as what Sage Steele shared, instead of the easier wrong. And just do the best of our ability to make sure that we are following the copyright rules and giving people the honor for their writings or other things that they have created. So I'll be talking to you this week, at least on Monday, if not before, as we finish our group project in Education 633. Hang in there. We're starting week 7.